We will now show you how to use your knit leaders. First of all, you need to do a tension swatch on the standard gauge machine using a measurement over 40 stitches and 60 rows. On the bulky, you need to use a measurement over 20 stitches and 30 rows. Using this tension swatch, you will take your ruler that comes with the knit leader and you will lay it on one side of your 40 stitches. You will measure over to where your other stitch is for the 40 stitches. In this case, it is measuring 126. Then you will go to the tube of your knit leader and on the side you will see a guide that tells you what ruler number you will be using. You will find numbers listed here that will give you the spacing. We are going to use ruler number 126 or setting 126 that is on ruler number 12. You then take your rulers out of your knit leader tube and find the ruler that has that setting on it. You will see that there are two sides on this ruler and two sides over here that have readings. You find the side that has the reading you are looking for. Then you want to lay your ruler down and verify that you have 40 stitches within that setting. As long as you measure 40 stitches from this side to this side, that means you have measured your swatch correctly. And this is the ruler that will be placed into your knit leader. This is the ruler that comes with the built-in knit leader. You have a larger ruler, the numbering is the same that goes with the other knit leader. Once you have determined the stitches that you will be using, or the ruler to give you the stitches, you will then determine your rows. You will turn your swatch over to the purl side and you will take a measurement from one purl stitch in the yellow down to the next purl stitch. Here we have a reading of 14.6. That is what we will dial at the knit leader when we go to our machine. You will draw your pattern on your Mylar sheet. You can draw more than one piece at a time. In other words, you will see that we have drawn the front using a green line. We have drawn the back using a black line. And we have drawn our sleeve all on the same sheet at the same time. On the Mylar sheets that come with the built-in knit leader, you will see that they are a smaller size sheet. We can only draw half of a pattern on the sheet at one time. Here the green line follows, and then the black, and then you have your sleeve. We will now show you how to use your knit leader at the knitting machine. First of all, you have your Mylar that will be placed into the guides in the back of the knit leader. You will bring the Mylar sheet to the front. There is a release on the right-hand side, like a release on a typewriter, that allows you to position the paper or Mylar into the knit leader. Then on this side, you will turn the dial to start your paper. You must then make sure that it is lined up by releasing on this side. Again, roll a couple rolls and make sure that your line here is straight. If your line is not straight, you can release here to straighten it out. As long as it is straight, you will continue to roll until you get to the first line of where you will start your pattern. When we did our gauge for this particular garment, we decided that we needed ruler number 13 and we were going to use side number 28. We have placed that into the knit leader, lining up the center of the ruler with the center of our Mylar. We also determined that our row gauge would be 14.6. To set the row gauge on the knit leader, you press in your clutch button here, and you can move this in either direction. You want to line that up with 14, and on the millimeter reading, that would be your 0.6 setting. You will then release your clutch. You also have this setting of the knit leader that you need to use. You will place your slot here in the center hole. In order to use the knit leader, you have to engage this rod on your carriage. This will trigger the knit leader to drop. On your bulky 260s, your punch card bulkies, you have two trip levers that need to be engaged. If you do not have both engaged, you will not get the correct gauge or rows when you are knitting. When we set up the number of stitches that we need, we read the ruler that we have used. In this case, we will see that we need 75 stitches on one side of 0, or 76, excuse me, on one side of 0 and 76 on the other side of 0. Looking at my needle bed, that's what I have played into work, is 76 on this side of 0 and 76 on this side. As I knit across, you will see that the Mylar sheet will drop. The Mylar sheet is dropping in the same rate as is set at the knit leader, on your knit leader for the row gauge. This is what allows us to use the same pattern for tuck stitches, Fair Isle stitches, and so forth on our Mylar, and just do a new tension swatch, resetting the gauge on the rows as well as using a different ruler. You should use your row counter in conjunction with this, and always write down the number of rows that you are knitting from the bottom of a sweater to your armhole and in your arm's eye in order to match up your seams. As soon as we see the line disappear is when we will start taking off stitches for our arm's eye. You have to follow good knitting technique when doing this. First of all, I will do this in the short row method by placing my holding button on. Opposite the carriage, I have gone down to needle number 70. So I will bring all needles up to that point and place them into hold position. I will knit one row and I will wrap my end needle. Now I will look back at the Mylar again and see what needle number I am down to at this point. You will see that I am down to needle number 68. On this side of the machine, I will put up to needle number 68 into hold position. I will knit one row. I will manual wrap. Again, I will look at my Mylar. I am down at needle number 66. I will place up to needle number 66 into hold position. I will knit one row and I will wrap. Again, looking at my Mylar, I will now go down to needle number 64. You continue in this manner until you have finished shaping your arm's eye. Once you have finished shaping your arm's eye, you do need to remove these stitches from the machine. You will knit one row and remove the stitches on the opposite side of the machine. You will then continue knitting until you get to your neck shaping. When you get to your neck shaping, you will see it here on your Mylar. You again need to follow your normal good knitting technique. First of all, as soon as we lose the line, that means that it is time to shape our neckline. Everything opposite your carriage will be placed into hold position. If you have been using your row counter, make note of what row the row counter reads at this point. You will place your holding button on, and I have gone from 0 over to needle number 5. So everything from 0 to 5 on this carriage side will also go to hold position. I will knit one row, I will wrap, and then I will go back. Now I have lost up to needle number 8. I will place those stitches into hold, I will knit and wrap and go back. I have now lost up to needle number 10. I will place those stitches in hold, I will knit one row, wrap, and go back. You will continue in this manner until you have shaped your complete neckline. Once you get up to the shoulder stitches, you will remove them on scrap and ravel cord as we have in our other projects. Once you have removed those shoulder stitches with scrap and ravel cord, we need to return our Mylar back to the neck edge. By placing your clutch in on your knit leader, you are able to pull your paper out at an even pace without having to turn it with the handle. Just make sure you pull up on both sides, and you want to get back to where the neckline started. You will then release the clutch and roll yourself back to that neckline position. At this point, we started with 5 needles working on one side of our neckline, or out of work on one side of our neckline. Again, we will have 5 stitches from the center over, left in hold. Everything else will be placed back into working position. We will thread our carriage. We will take our yarn across the top of the needles that are in hold position, and we will knit one row. At this point, we will place the appropriate number of stitches on our neck edge into hold, which in this case is up to needle number 8. We knit and we wrap and we go back. Again, we place the next amount of stitches into hold, we knit, wrap, and go back. The one thing I need to caution you about is that when you are shaping your shoulders, that you make sure that you always hit the row counter and the knit leader space that makes your knit leader drop. If you do not pass this and do not make your knit leader drop, you will have the wrong rows in your neckline. After knitting this side of your shoulder, you will remove it on scrap and ravel cord, and you will remove your neck stitches as we have in our other projects. On the model of knitting machines that have the built-in knit leader, you will find the knit leader at the back side of your machine here. Your rulers are placed into the slot in front of the knit leader sheet. When you place your knit leader sheet into the machine, you have a clutch here that allows you to release this space here and roll your paper down. If it is crooked, release, pull it up and make it straight, and then roll the paper on in further. Your rows are set up over on this side of the machine. This is your clutch that allows you to move this lever back and forth to the appropriate setting. We got the row gauge of 14.6, so we move both of these to the proper position. This is your 14 centimeters, 6 millimeter, and then you release the button. Once your knit leader is engaged, you do need to trigger this setting over here in order to make the knit leader trip. Then when you come across your needle bed, just as with the other knit leader, it will drop. All the functions are the same between the knit leaders. It's just that on these models it's built into the machine, and on the other models it's an accessory.